Hello everyone, and welcome to a game of World of Warships. Today's replay is from Devil May Cry, and he's in the Halland. It's a 10 pan-European destroyer. He's also being raided by a Stalingrad, but Stalingrad's radar duration isn't that long these days, so he's decided instead of going away full speed, he's just trying to wait it out. There aren't that many shells coming, radar is already over, he didn't take too much damage, and I guess he's just trying to wrap the camp here.
Fire.
Now this is a pure tier 10 battle. Besides the Stalingrad, there's also Salem for radar, there is a set for Hydro. Technically there's a Yang that could have radar as well, I guess. But the Yang and the set have been spotted up north, and the Salem is on its way here, but not here just yet. So he's just gonna sit here and cap some more. By the way, as you can see, the camera is very close to the ship. That's the new default setting for the camera in World of Warships. If you don't like that, you can go to Settings, Controls, and there is a Field of View slider. If you set Field of View to around 50, the camera will look about as it did before the patch. Now I can't change that in a replay, because replay just uses the camera settings from when the battle was played. But just aside. Anyway, the enemy Halland has poked in here, and I think that Halland is going to regret that. The friendly team has a lot of firepower around here, and the Halland is finding that out the hard way. While Devil May Cry, he's getting away here pretty nicely, because most enemy ships just spent the time behind islands and weren't able to support the destroyer.
Engine boost activated.
Now that Stalingrad is coming around here, the radar will be ready again at some point.
Problem solved, sir.
But for now, Devil May Cry is just gonna in there and cap. The Stalingrad is already turning away, and as we've established, there aren't too many enemy ships in a position to shoot. Well, there's the radar again. But just like last time, he should be fine. The Salem is, I think, behind this big island. The Montana might be able to lob shells here, but mostly it's just going to be the Stalingrad that he has to dodge. And so far not even the Stalingrad has used its own guns, because they might just be out of position because he's turning. So he seems really unconcerned here, and rightfully so. Oh, the Stalingrad isn't even shooting. So okay, not this single ship shot him during this radar. Actually it's the Salem radar it looks like, because the Stalingrad radar would have been over a while ago. So, oh, there, finally. Meanwhile, he's getting 5 torpedo hits into that Stalingrad. That Stalingrad is not gonna be having a good day. So this is working quite nicely. The Salem was probably hoping somebody else would take the shots if he raided, because the Salem was not in a position to profit from its own radar. And the Stalingrad didn't really try to shoot the Halland. Now, it's taking a long time, but this cap is almost taken, finally. Meanwhile, it looks like the friendlies are going to lose sea. There are still quite a few friendly ships up there, so it's not like they need to be that passive necessarily. I mean, it's like, what, 7... Well, it's about 7 enemies and 5, well, if we count the Goliath, about 6 friendlies. So, friendlies are a little bit outnumbered. But nothing too problematic. Now, meanwhile here, the friendlies are dominating pretty heavily, and they should probably just push. Especially like that Stalingrad is sort of trapped if we have the Kurfürst here going forward. If they like that Kurfürst were to corner that Stalingrad, that would be really nice. Meanwhile, what's a Halland supposed to do in this situation? The thing is, B is in friendly hands. C already has 2 destroyers and is pretty far away, and those ships here are just gonna run. So it's hard to torpedo them, but he can at least like go solo after them, keep them spotted, and position a bit closer to B in case he needs to defend. Like, the enemies control C, so the set is free to just head down if it wants to. Our torps are reloaded, but, you know, not really any great targets right now. Of course, with the Stalingrad and the Salem, he also has to be careful that he isn't getting too close. Salem is less of an issue with the low radar range. Stalingrad, on the other hand, would be dangerous. But it seems like it's running towards J10 anyway. Now, unfortunately, like the brawling battleships, like the Kurfürsts, are not leading this charge after the enemy, which is a shame. Like, how healthy are they? But this Kurfürst is entirely healthy. Okay, this Kurfürst has taken a bit of a beating, so it's more understandable that he's chilling there trying to get a bit of a heal going. We'd need this Kurfürst down here to take a bit more of an aggressive role, hopefully. But overall, the friendlies are 2 ships ahead, so it's not looking bad. They also have the camps. Now, the Montana is a potential target here, especially like with this island. The Montana has sort of committed to staying on this side of the island, which is good. That forces the Montana sort of broadside. And Halland slightly beached here. I'm trying to get those torps off, but those torps are possibly going to be worth it. Like, nicely enough, the Montana stuck on this side of the island and didn't go behind it, so it's sort of locked into that course, which gives those torpedoes a lot of potential. Meanwhile, the B cap is now being taken, so that's probably the next stop of Devil May Cry. He's still having a look at what his torps are going to do. Looking good. Looking very good. Of course, Halland torps don't hit that hard, so I don't expect a devastating strike or anything, but, you know, the Montana's gonna feel that. The Montana is definitely gonna feel that. Now, the problem about the B-cap is, oh yeah, it's the set. We've briefly spotted the set, which means that's a dangerous Hydro there. Now, he's got his own torps ready, so he's gonna try to catch the set inside the smoke screen. But if the Hydro is running, that's
dead ahead.
Unlikely to happen. Although Halland torps are pretty fast, so maybe the set isn't reacting in time. But that poses a problem for the Halland, because now he's using his engine boost and he's going into the cap. He isn't going directly right now. The thing is, if he gets Hydroed, he immediately needs to turn left and run. He can't push into a Hydro or he'll be obliterated, especially with the firepower that the set has behind it. But of course we don't know if the Hydro is running, right? So he's trying to take a route where he can turn left, and now he is still not Hydroed, so he knows the Hydro is currently not running. Of course the Hydro could come on at any second, but the smoke screen has also been here for a bit, and we know German smoke doesn't last so long, so he's decided to take the risk. Hydro coming on at this point is, I suppose, less likely.
Torpedoes to starboard.
Meanwhile, gonna torp the Preußen a bit, because why not? And yeah, this smoke should be about to disappear. And we shall see what happens to this set afterwards. There we go, smoke's gone, and the set is caught with its pants down. The problem that the set has, its gun power just isn't that great. The set is trying to use armor piercing. I mean, probably not a bad choice. The Halland is forced to give quite a bit of angle to use all of its guns. That's one of the problems of the Hallands. You have very bad turret angles, and you really don't want to use just one of your turrets. So...
We destroyed their destroyer.
Oh, and some torpedoes, nice. So while the set did its best, it was outgunned by the Halland. Overall, not too many ships have been sunk yet, to be honest. This is still looking good for the friendlies, 1 ship ahead and some points in caps ahead. Now, Devil May Cry is getting very low on hit points, but he still has 1 here to go, and obviously Halland's a good torp boat, so it's not like he necessarily needs to be spotted, especially since the enemy destroyers are all dead. So there shouldn't be any surprise gunfights in that sense. Any gunfight he now lands into is one that he picks. Now there are basically 2 options right now. He could go north and try to torpedo the ships over there, or he could go, well, south, because there are 2 ship clusters. Now the north, you could argue, needs more ships because there's just the Sherman that should probably get out of there. The thing is, I feel like the ships in the south are more likely to be engaged by the friendlies. So, for example, if he spots the Salem, the team will profit from that. Also, you know, if he stays around here between A and B, he can defend both camps. He can still torpedo through B against any ships that might be pushing B. So he's basically sitting at a position where he can mostly defend the friendly points income, which might be very important. Now it looks like the friendly Sherman got itself cornered there, possibly Hindenburg Hydro and taken out. Not a good position for the Sherman to be in. It should have just retreated when it had the time. Sherman doesn't have a lot of torpedoes, right? So if you see a Sherman in smoke, you can often just push it in any battleship. Like, for example, the Conqueror can just sail in and then wreck the Sherman, because it doesn't have the torpedo power for self-defense that way. Unfortunately, the enemies dodged some fishies here, possibly with the use of Hydro. Quite a few Hydro ships. And now this is getting tricky. The Salem is getting closer, and Devil May Cry is blocked by this island in a sense, so can't disengage ideally from the Salem right now. Of course, the Salem doesn't necessarily know that he's in radar range. So he's trying to torp the St. Vincent here. I mean, the Salem is getting low on health. He might have assumed that... Oh, and the gold line was detonated. That's unfortunate. So he may assume that the friendlies are taking care of the Salem. So far, that's not really happening. Well, we'll see if the torps find a new home in the St. Vincent. It would certainly be helpful. The friendlies have been bleeding ships recently. And I'm afraid that might have been a miss. Oh well. What the friendlies still have going for them is that they have the only destroyer and they still have the caps and the points, although that's gonna change. Now the Salem is still getting closer. And this time the Salem might just be aware that it was spotted by the destroyer there. So we will see if there's a radar. Now there's a friendly Kurfürst. Unfortunately, it looks like the Kurfürst is too far away to use its secondaries. I mean, I'm not sure if the Kurfürst is secondary spec, but most of them are. If the Kurfürst were, it should slow down and should let the Salem come into secondary range. Unfortunately, the Salem has finally found its radar, and Devil May Cry is using this opportunity to get a few shots in because he's spotted anyway. Now, he's stopping to shoot, even though the radar isn't over yet, because he wants to be in concealment the second this radar is gone, right? And it takes 20 seconds for your gun bloom to disappear, so you kinda have to stop shooting 20 seconds before the radar is over to go into concealment the second the radar stops. And the radar has stopped. He's doing some good dodging here, so that's nice. Meanwhile, the Kurfürst just keeps running, and the Kurfürst is shooting the sentries. The Kurfürst isn't even shooting the Salem. Was this the full health Kurfürst that was just creeping around the outskirts earlier? Seriously, like this, what this Kurfürst should have done is keep shooting the Salem and also, you know, slow down and let the Salem get into secondary range, assuming it's secondary spec. But it should even have turned around and counter-pushed the Salem. What it needs to do here in this situation is stop the Salem from getting the cap and protect the destroyer by taking care of the radar. Now, finally, there was a hit into the Salem. So at this point, Devil May Cry has decided to take it into his own hands and try to finish it off. In the end, the Kurfürst secondaries do the trick. The Kurfürst has finally turned around. Although a little bit late. You have to keep in mind that the Kurfürst secondaries are really good at putting out some damage, right? So by staying too far away to properly use them, you might have taken more damage himself than needed because the enemy survived longer than they should have. Now overall it's 3 against 4, but the friendlies still have the points. Now this Kurfürst has decided the best course of action now is to be sort of sailing broadside to the Vincent, I guess. That's wouldn't have been my choice. Maybe it's finally turning back in there. Now we don't know where the Montana currently is, and we have the Conqueror and the Hindenburg pushing B. Now Devil May Cry is going into the right direction. If he stayed between A and B, he has a chance of being caught. If the Hindenburg pushes straight through B, also even if it stays on the other side of the Hydro, that's a very dangerous thing to be caught in. We don't know where the Montana is closing in from, and of course the St. Vincent is pushing A and might then be turning B, right? If he was in like between those two camps, he might be trapped. So he's going in a position where he should be able to stay undetected. Now the Conqueror is already in there, the Hindenburg is already in there. Now he could try to go around and cap C, C's open, but keep in mind it's only 1 minute 45 remaining. And in that time he won't really make it into C to make a difference, so it's better to just stay around here. Now the problem is he'll have trouble spotting enemies. The enemies entered from like the north, and they're going through the camp, so they're behind these islands. If he tries to circle around north once again, like by the time he is up there, the enemies will come through. If he just stays here, then he'll only spot them once they've pushed through. But staying here is definitely a good choice, because if they push through here, he might be able to get another set of torps off against them. Now there's 1 minute remaining, and the enemy, they are gonna get all the caps. But the ED spot. Yeah, see, that's when inexperienced people comment on, I guess, what the team is doing. Like, there wasn't a good position for him to spot, as I've explained. If he went north, he wouldn't have seen them anyway. He had to wait until they pass through here. He can't be between A and B, he's gonna get trapped. So he was in the best position to get spots as soon as they came through. Like, destroyers can't see through islands, despite what some people might be thinking. And they also can't teleport around the map. Oh, but they can Death Strike a Conqueror. Good job. Now it looks like the Yushin also took out the St. Vincent, and with that this game is a win. So, Devil May Cry did very well here, earning 2,684 base experience, and he had to carry quite a bit here. In the end, it was a close one, but thanks to the friendlies' control of the caps, they managed to get a victory. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed watching this. It was a nice Halland game, and I'll see you next time.